你这个骗子啊！
好生说话哈！
你说你这样子闹起，我这个老脸往哪儿放哦？
This is truly infuriating. On the day of the wedding, the groom actually replaced the bride in front of both families and guests, and held the ceremony with another woman instead. The bride-to-be, who was waiting at home to be picked up, completely lost it when she heard the news. She and her mother-in-law stormed into the wedding venue, demanding answers, and furiously confronted the groom on the spot. The groom, seeing this, completely dropped all pretenses and turned hostile, shouting, "You still have the nerve to come here and make a scene?" He then publicly revealed some shameful secrets about his fiancée and future mother-in-law, leaving everyone at the scene utterly stunned.
那天他来接你了吗？应该有一个迎亲的一个。
他没有过来，他人都没出来过。我跟他打电话也没得人接，那就是去买冰箱去了。结果他就走了，走了之后，然后我们那边亲戚朋友才给我打电话说咋个回事哦，咋个你们老公咋个把人都换了？我才跟我妈两个跑进去酒店，才看到他跟其他的女的在进行仪式。当时这个事情出了之后，我们爸当时马上就气得到那个高血压就犯了，现在都还在医院头躺到起的。我妈现在天天都在屋头哭，天天都在屋头抹眼泪水，现在左邻右舍那些都在看我们笑话。
The furious woman in front of us is Xiao Hui. When she talks about what her ex-fiancé did, she boils with rage. On the wedding day, she had been excitedly waiting for her beloved to arrive and take her home, but the groom never showed up. As she grew anxious, she received a phone call from a friend already at the wedding venue, saying the ceremony had already begun, but the bride wasn't her. That news hit Xiao Hui like a thunderbolt. She immediately rushed to the hotel with her parents, and just like her friends said, the bride was someone else. Enraged, she and her parents made a scene at the hotel. Xiao Hui tearfully recalled how just a day before, her fiancé had still been affectionate with her, and then turned around and pulled such an outrageous stunt. She simply couldn't accept it. Later, her ex-fiancé arrived at the venue. What on earth had happened between the two of them to make him replace the bride on the day of the wedding?
结婚就是要过日子，对不对？但是王慧这个人根本滴儿都不顾家，打电话问他在哪儿，他就是要不然就是逛街，要不然就跟朋友耍，要不然就在屋头睡。你说这个老婆他娶了咋子？
The young man standing here is Xiao Hui's ex-fiancée, Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen, ignoring all accusations, accused Xiao Hui of being lazy, irresponsible, and a money pit who did nothing but drain him financially. He then shifted the blame onto her mother, saying, like mother, like daughter, and started ranting about his mother-in-law-to-be. At this point, the host couldn't help but interject. You two were already at the stage of discussing marriage. Why are you only now bringing up all these issues with Xiao Hui? Hearing this, Xiao Chen became visibly agitated, and said that just thinking about what Xiao Hui and her mother had done to him made his blood boil. He then publicly exposed a series of shameful incidents involving the two women, shocking everyone at the scene.
我都没嫌你穷，我跟你说，你当时我结婚之前你说的，你挣钱是给我花，对不对？你说的你要对我好，你对我一辈子好，你就是这样子对我的啊。
王慧这个人根本就不适合结婚。他跟我说别国家男的又给他的老婆买了啥东西，我心想真是老婆都要炸。我就跟一个黄豆一样的，一颗黄豆，他想炸出一斤黄豆的那种油来，我根本就没任何办法。52个都钱给你，你自己晓得我是屋头家境不是很好，我工作也没得好多几个钱。
老婆挣钱，他老婆花的呀。结婚之前你自己说的呀。
一个月收了点钱。
男人挣钱养家，女人落得嘛，没有人家对的呀，是你说的呀。
你们俩不要吵了，你在结婚之前你就发现了他那么多缺点，那你干嘛同意要跟他结婚呢？
Xiao Chen furiously stated that his fiancée being lazy was one thing, but what she and her mother did after that crossed every line. At first, Xiao Chen thought she was just like any ordinary girl, loving to shop for clothes and handbags. But after they got engaged, she and her mother kept raising their demands. His family was already struggling financially, but to help him marry, his elderly parents had to sell whatever they could to scrape together money to buy a house. When it came time to renovate the house, Xiao Hui and her mother insisted everything had to be done with imported materials. His parents, having spent their entire savings, had no choice but to borrow more money just to meet the bride's family's demands. Just when he thought everything was settled, on the day before the wedding, Xiao Hui and her mother caused another uproar. This time, they complained the engagement ring was too small and demanded a more expensive one. Otherwise, the wedding was off.
他们家呢是比我们家条件好点儿，我就说我们家不能亏待他们，然后我就说我去买房子，把房子买了，就是我们家把所有的闲钱拿出来，再去找亲戚朋友借了点儿，买了个差不多几十平米的房子。刚刚买完了，他就开始说就嫌房子小了，好说歹说把他说通了，开始装修房子了，然后他就开始嫌地板不好了，然后沙发又不好，又
本来结婚一辈子的事情，那房子那些肯定是要装修好噻。
Xiao Chun said his family had already borrowed heavily just to pay for the house renovations, the bride price, and the wedding banquet, and it was simply impossible to meet further demands. He explained that he had tried to reason with his fiancée, but Xiao Hui wouldn't budge. Her mother even stated outright that if he couldn't agree to their terms, he could forget about marrying her daughter. Xiao Chun said that the wedding invitations had already been sent out, and the hotel was booked. With the ceremony just 1 day away, he faced mounting pressure from his future mother-in-law and a fiancée who showed no compromise. In a fit of desperation, he decided to replace the bride on the day of the wedding and marry Lily, the woman who had always silently loved him. Xiao Chun insisted that everything that happened was caused entirely by his fiancée and her domineering mother, and that he had been left with no other choice. Just as Xiao Chun was still seething with anger, the mother-in-law stormed into the venue, and the moment she saw him, she started shouting. She furiously accused her son-in-law and revealed even more jaw-dropping secrets, shocking everyone once again.
有其母必有其女，
你这个骗子啊！
好生说话哈。
就说那天结婚那天，我女儿的喜事，我请了一把子的亲朋好友来参加婚礼喝喜酒，结果闹出这样子天大的丑闻了。现在左邻右舍啊，都当成饭后的笑料，我简直连头都抬不起哦。结婚那天了，当时就把亡婚的爸爸气病了，现在都还在医院里治疗。这个医药费一定要你赔偿，你要付我的精神损失费。
你喊我赔偿，那我屋头欠了一屁股债，哪赔偿？
我不跟你说这些。
The mother-in-law, without hesitation, pointed her finger at Xiao Chun and cursed him as heartless, a wolf in human clothing. She angrily stated that for the sake of her precious daughter's wedding, she had invited all their friends and relatives. Who could have imagined that on such a grand day, the groom would marry someone else in front of everyone? Now the whole incident has turned into the laughingstock of the neighborhood. To make things worse, the father collapsed from anger and is still recovering in the hospital. She turned her fury onto Xiao Chun, saying he had to pay not just the medical bills, but also compensation for emotional distress. Xiao Chun, hearing this, exploded in rage. He shouted that this woman only had money on her mind and never stopped trying to squeeze every penny out of him. Despite knowing how poor his family was, she made endless unreasonable demands. And as the wedding approached, instead of understanding, she kept increasing the pressure. Xiao Chun declared that the current situation was entirely her own doing. The mother-in-law didn't back down. She not only insisted on compensation for medical bills, but also demanded emotional damages. She furiously scolded Xiao Chun as an ungrateful snake and dropped a shocking secret of her own.
我说啊，我的女儿是非常优秀的，我送那么多亲朋好友送的礼金，我还要挨家挨户的去给人家还起去，还要给人家说明情况，这都不说，你说你这样子闹起，我这个老脸往哪儿放哦？我的女儿是多么的优秀，为了结婚了，上上下下的跑啊，真是脚都跑肿了。
你女儿跑啥子了？你给我说下来，跑啥子了？
这个不说，结婚的所有的花的费用都是我养老的钱垫付的啊。
结婚这个钱是他们出的，是他借给我嘛，相当于是他借给我，然后我说我以后还。当时他就给我提条件哦，说的结婚完了你要付4倍的利息给我，结了婚都是一家人了，我还要付4倍的利息。天爷，4倍的利息你也说得出口哦？哎。
The mother-in-law said that she had been against this relationship from the beginning. Her family was well off, and her daughter was beautiful and had a great figure. Finding a rich son-in-law should have been easy. But who knew why her daughter was so obsessed with Xiao Chen and insisted on marrying no one else? As a mother, she eventually had no choice but to give in. But Xiao Chen's family was dirt poor. At the very least, a newlywed couple should have a decent home to live in, right? So she demanded that he buy a new house. And if you're going to live in that house for a lifetime, of course you want the best materials for renovation. But Xiao Chen's family couldn't afford it. Trying to help her daughter, the mother-in-law offered to lend Xiao Chen the money. But who would have thought, he used her loan money to marry another woman. She said anyone in her shoes would be furious. She swore that this ungrateful man must repay every cent, and compensate her for emotional damages. This twist revealed even more shocking secrets. She explained that, to make the wedding grand, she had willingly loaned her retirement savings to Xiao Chen. But what he did in return was stab her in the back. Hearing her accusations, Xiao Chen lost it. He said that she never considered whether his family could bear the costs. She just demanded the best for everything. Yes, she did lend him money, and at first he was grateful. But then, she said he had to repay 4 times the interest after the wedding. That was the last straw. Not only did she not help or support him as a future family member, she exploited his desperation for profit. How was that anything like a family member? She treated money like it was more important than people.
结了婚都是一家人了，我还要付4倍的利息。天爷，4倍的利息你也说得出口哦？
哎，人亲财不亲。
哦，你是只认
借钱还钱，
是
天经地道。
当妈的，你是不是只认钱？你掉钱子都去了是不是？你只认钱吗？
我不跟你说那么多，我辛辛苦苦的把女儿养了20多年，我结婚了，我还倒给你出好多钱。哎，你就是这样子老实的说，哎。
The mother-in-law said these were 2 separate matters. A debt is a debt, and paying it back is only fair. She claimed that she helped him when he needed it most, so it was only right to expect some return. Then she mocked Xiao Chen, saying she once thought he was honest. Now it turns out he's just an ignorant bumpkin who knows nothing about gratitude. Xiao Chen, furious that she looked down on him from the bottom of her heart, revealed another outrageous thing she did.
他这个人刚出笼的土包子，一点规矩都不得。我的女儿是多么的优秀，
到底是哪个不傻事？你很清楚的哈。我跟你说，我有丈母娘，还有一个就是很不能让人接受的，就是他居然会翻我钱包。
你说谁？谁翻你的钱包？
丈母娘噻，当妈的噻，这位丈母娘，这位看清楚，当妈的她坐到这儿沙发头，这个样子在这儿翻我钱包。你为啥子翻我钱包？
嗨，
你要看啥子？
你不要打胡乱说的。他这个人刚出笼的土包子，一点规矩都不得。
Xiao Chen said that his mother-in-law not only worshipped money, but also secretly looked down on him, and even snooped through his wallet. The mother-in-law argued that she had only touched it while cleaning and didn't mean anything by it. Then, looking self-righteous, she said, "Even if I did, so what? My daughter is so excellent. You should be grateful she even wanted to marry you. And now all these relatives gave cash gifts, and I have to go return all of them myself and explain everything that happened. It's humiliating beyond belief." She continued berating Xiao Chen for being an ingrate and demanded not only repayment of the wedding expenses, but also compensation for her emotional trauma. Not a single yuan less. Xiao Chen, outraged by this former mother-in-law's attitude, declared that he would only repay the exact loan given for the wedding, and not 1 extra cent. They went back and forth, yelling and accusing each other on the spot. What do you think? Should Xiao Chen agree to the compensation demands from his ex-mother-in-law? At this moment, Xiao Hui, who had stayed quiet the entire time, panicked. She saw clearly that her once devoted boyfriend had now taken things seriously, and she was scared. She tearfully apologized and admitted that she had been too demanding before the wedding. She hoped Xiao Chen could forgive her, end the drama, and reunite to hold the wedding once more. But Xiao Chen remained unmoved. He said he had already married Lily. From now on, she was the only woman he would protect for the rest of his life.
Replacing the bride on the wedding day sounds like a drama series, but it happened in real life. Some say Xiao Chun is a heartless scumbag who turned a beautiful wedding into a revenge scene. Others say he was pushed to the edge, trapped between a greedy future mother-in-law and a fiancé obsessed with money. A man burdened by his parents selling their home and borrowing money, still facing escalating bride prices, demands for imported materials, and worst of all, paying 4 times the loan interest. Tell me, is this still marriage, or is it a business transaction? And Xiao Hui, was she just a victim molded by her mother's values? Saying, "I love you," while constantly asking for more. This wasn't just a tragic breakup. It was a reflection of an entire generation's twisted view of marriage. Do you support Xiao Chen's decision to replace the bride on the wedding day when faced with such relentless pressure? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.